Welcome back to another episode here on the Heart and Hustle podcast with Miss Alison Black. How you doing today, ma'am?
I'm doing great. How are you?
I am amazing. It's Friday for us here, at least for us recording. For those maybe watching, maybe a different day. But any exciting plans for the weekend?
It's the long weekend,
Memorial weekend.
Memorial weekend. My whole staff is off today to make up for working last weekend. So, no, I think it's just relax and actually catch up a little bit.
All right. What does relaxing look like actually? Outside of leadership, outside of the corporate world, are you in the garden? Are you swimming? What are you doing?
Oh my gosh. Well, I hang out with my 5-year-old who brings
Okay.
comedic relief at all times to our house. I go to dance classes during the school year. I go to a tap class, which I think is a fun little adult joy that.
You know, that is so crazy you said that. You're the second person this week that told me that. So I actually asked her Monday and I said, "Hey, what do you do this weekend?" Or I don't know. She said something, it was relaxing. I said, "How was your weekend?" She said, "Relaxing." I said, "Oh, great. Well, what did you do to relax?" And she says, "Well, I went to a dance recital and jazz." I'm like, "Oh, okay, you got kids." She's like, "Oh no, me." And I'm like, "Yeah." She's like, "Yeah, I used to love dancing and it just keeps me now kind of active and you just don't lose it. It's like riding a bike." And I'm like, "You know what? I'm gonna go find me something to do as an adult that I just always wanted to do." So how long you been doing that?
So I danced as a kid. So I did tap. This is like a very similar story, I'm sure. I did dance my whole life or from 8
Wow.
and on. And then my friend was like, "You need to come do this adult class. Like there's not it's pretty low bar." I hopefully my tap teacher doesn't hear this. Uh, but she's like, "It's fun. It's just like a social hour, but there's also some dancing in there." So I think I've been
Wow.
in this adult class at least 10 years. Um,
Really?
so yeah, it's become its own little club of
That is so cool.
people. So
That's so
yeah.
cool. No, I was telling a friend this, after I heard that, I said, "Well, we gotta find like a hobby, something that just keeps us." What is that thing that when you were a kid, he's like, "Hey, I wanted to try it, and maybe you didn't have the funds or the resources, whatever that is. Let's try it." So, hey, tap dancing. Okay, all right, all
Yeah.
right. Uh,
It's interesting. Yesterday I was at this event where people across Cleveland, artists, especially creative arts, literary arts, authors, and this woman stood up to read an excerpt from her book, and she talked about she was never allowed to do ballet as a kid, and she took a ballet class at 70. So I think too, as adults, we have to remember sometimes we're not going to do the things we did as a kid, but other times, why not?
yeah.
It made me, I was like, what did I want to do as a kid that I was never allowed? I got to think about it because I might go find something.
I'm still thinking about it. Actually, the one thing I want to do, and you're probably gonna just like, I don't know what you're gonna feel. I'll tell you. I'll tell you. I want to do wrestling. Okay, I love wrestling, like WWE wrestling, and I say I'm invested. I have a whole business around it. I need to go feel what it looks like to run the ropes, maybe take a little, back bump, and who knows, maybe I enjoy the pain so much that I would, take this
You would
on
do
even
it.
further. You never know.
I
Never know. I'm
mean,
still young.
but if you want to still support, there, not to give another plug, but another nonprofit, Beat the
Yeah.
Streets, also
Okay.
has some national network. You should go check them out. They're wrestling for kids.
Really? Is that in Cleveland as well?
There is one in Cleveland, so I'll shout out my friend
Yeah. Oh.
Demetrius there.
I,
So
I I would have to check it out. I've never heard of it, but I would definitely love to check it out. But let's start. Let's kind of go there. What are you doing in Cleveland? What is the organization that you're running? What is your title?
yeah, I am running Cleveland Scores, or some people know it as America Scores Cleveland. We've gone through a slight name change to see one to be very local, but also as a national affiliation. To say we're Scores and we're the Scores Network because we have some Canadian cities in there, and when you're from Canada, you're not
Yeah.
America. So I'm the executive director of Cleveland Scores, and we're doing some after school program here, and we're very unique. We're not just a soccer program. People see my logo, they see soccer, but we're actually a soccer literacy after school youth development program. So 2 days a week the kids go to soccer. 2 days a week the kids are going to their literacy component, which is split between two curriculums, a poetry curriculum and then a service learning curriculum. So yeah, that's what we're doing over here in Cleveland. It's actually school ends next week. So we just finished out the school year. And then we're running summer program. We flip in 2 weeks and we'll be in the summer, which is crazy
Love
to
it.
think about.
And how long you been doing this?
So I've been the executive director 4 years. I've been with Scores Actually, I've been the executive director about 4.5 years and have been with Scores almost 7 years total. So, it's crazy to think about how long I've been here when I think about all my other work in Cleveland, to be like, oh, like I think COVID maybe messed some of that up to feel like it hasn't been that long. And then I think like, oh, I've been here long.
What got you to Scores? Like it was
Yeah.
just wanted to do something different, or you mentioned COVID. Was it just kind of COVID changed up what you were doing?
No, it was pre-COVID. So actually, I was a school social worker in Cleveland schools. And I had, so I have a background in mental health, social work. I have my master's in that. So I had moved to Cleveland, got my master's, and was like, I'm going to be a school social worker. But I was very interested in the community aspect in schools. So, I got this school social work certification, but what I really wanted to do was be a social worker who worked solely in schools, thinking about schools as a hub for communities. So that's what I was doing for about 6 years as a school social worker. I also done some like mental health, like a therapist in one of the Cleveland schools. And then I just, it's that direct practice, the day to day. And I started thinking, what's next? Like, I love being a social worker, but also I'm ready for like another leadership role. And so I started thinking, and so I moved to Scores actually, because Scores was one of the very first programs we brought to my school for after school. People all over Cleveland were like, you need to just go talk to the former executive director, get her over in your school. And so I did a lot of begging. It helped that my principal at the time had been in DC, so she knew our affiliate DC Scores. So there was some, but it really just, when I went, and Debbie, who was the former executive director here, was my mentor for a long time. Like I really trusted her. I had talked to her a lot about like leadership development, what I needed next. In addition to my boss at the time was really big on like, you need to go do some fundraising if you want to move into the nonprofit leadership space. And so, Debbie gave me a chance. I had never fundraised, but I knew how to build community. I'd brought a lot of resources into the school. And so Debbie was like, come on over. And she was a great mentor. And then when she was ready to move on, she, tagged me to the board and I applied and here I am. But it's just a weird, I think sometimes people think school social workers just stay in the school forever. But I was ready for something different and ready to kind of still stay in schools, but not in a very different way.
I hear you. I always say I could work with kind of the school system, but not for the school system. You know what I mean? I want to work with them, not for them.
Mm-hmm.
And I can imagine we all know we have all reasons why, but pretty cool kind of journey on how you got here as well. You said you had a 5-year-old?
I do have a 5-year-old.
So I'm trying to figure out, how are you running an organization? You tapping out here? You're running, because I have a 2 and a 5. I mean, I have 2. You have 1. It's probably a little easier, but it's work, especially a 5-year-old. They're always on go. What are you doing to kind of just
Yeah.
simmer down when you're not so
Um,
busy?
I have, I have to say, my husband's going to laugh so hard that I say this on in live. I really have a great husband, right? That I think people don't realize how much nonprofit leaders also get pulled.
Yeah,
You have to be in the community, at least in Cleveland, right? Like Cleveland is a city of who you know. It's a city of you have to kind of be front and center at all times with the right people. And so I have a great board who will be like, you need to come to this event. Or last night I was at this, I mentioned to you before we started recording, I was at this event, or I mentioned earlier, like the literary arts. And so, of course, I need to be there. Scores is a poetry soccer organization. So if there's going to be the best writers in Cleveland in a room, I probably should, be there.
absolutely.
So I think sometimes people forget, especially nonprofit and executive directors and the fundraising people, their jobs aren't 9 to 5. And so you have to have a good partnership. And so I actually am a really good about when I'm not at work, I'm not at work. So I'm very meticulous. Like if it is the weekend and we are not, we're not a crisis response. We're after school, which is important. But none of my staff, especially if we're not working on a weekend, it is my time with my family. So I try to really make that important and not make it bleed. When I come home and my day is ended, whether that be a 5 o'clock day or an 8 o'clock day, it's like I really do try to shut down the extra stuff, because if you don't, people will take advantage of. I mean, there's always 50 million things to do as I like look around my desk and I look at all the not like all the things I haven't done this week. And I'm like, I could keep working, but I have to leave. I said I was going to leave at a certain time and I need to leave. I'm not always the best at that when I'm in the office trying to check off to-dos, but I feel like once I'm home, I'm like, all right, this is, especially it's my 5-year-old's time, right? Like
Yeah,
that's
yeah, yeah.
important to make sure. I had to travel a lot recently. So that was, just a whole nother realm of, okay, I also have to know when to say no. Uh, Also not always the best at it, but I'm getting better to say like, is that worth my time right now? But yeah, I mean, 5-year-olds kids will keep you like on your toes at all times. So,
For sure. Oh yeah, believe me. The 2 and the 5 definitely keep me on my toes. But what you mentioned as well, just being present a lot at different events. Like I don't think I didn't realize that you really just got to show up, just kind of show face, right?
yep,
And I would say last week, kind of school ending, I can imagine probably a little busier for you as well. So I'm just like at event after event after event at the school. And I'm like, oh my God, I didn't realize how much things are going. But it's like, oh, you don't got to show up. And I'm like, but I
yep,
do, right? Like, especially when you're
you do.
building, it's like, but I do, even
Yeah,
if it's just for a little bit, I gotta, you kind of show face, say a little story. I feel like in organizations, we sell stories. So we got to just kind of throw in a little bit of what's happening and, some of the changes or some of the things that we're working on, right?
yep,
People don't know what they don't know. So we got to make sure we're spreading the word every single time,
yep,
so
yep,
that's cool.
yep.
With fundraising, what are some of the things that you learned from fundraising? You just kind of mentioned that world that was kind of so new to you.
Yeah. I mean, it's interesting because I think I was very nervous to be a fundraiser. I just remember right before I applied for the job, I kept thinking, like, do I really want to fundraise? And then I realized it's kind of what you already do, right? Like, you're building relationships with people. I'm really passionate about scores. I hope that comes off that, like, and it's really just talking about why it's so important and getting people to care. And so I feel like fundraising, I was a little surprised that it's just more relationship building. There's always the grant writing. And I always tell people, give me a really rough day, and I'll tell you, I'll just be a grant writer where I have to talk to no one. But for the most part, I like talking to people. I like being part of the community. And so I think I was more surprised just how much my personality already lends to fundraising. And like when you get the wins, when you get the funds, you're so excited. But I also was not prepared for when you don't get the money, how sad, right? Like
Yeah.
it's not a reflection of me as a person, but sometimes you have to think like, oh my gosh, like, could I have said this better? Should I have asked that question? And, so that's hard. And you just have to I think I have to constantly remind myself, like, when we don't get a grant or when we don't get a funding thing, it's not because what we're doing isn't important. It's they've changed path or there's no money or, so, but yeah, it's like the personal, but then you get so excited for the wins. Just right
Love it.
before I went on this call, I got a call from one of our sponsors and she like confirmed her sponsorship for an event. I was like, you just made my day. Like, just
That's why
you,
you showed up with all this energy.
I
That's
know,
what it
I know. I
was.
just got like confirmed, but it was like you made my day, and now I hit our goal. We have an event in 2 weeks, and we're at our sponsorship goal. And I was sitting here today going, I don't know if we're gonna make the goal. Like we're kind of
What's the
at the
event?
stretch. So it's called One Night, One Goal. So essentially, we have kind of 6 of our poet athletes will come, they'll perform a very traditional kind of silent auction, but we have a WKYC is our media sponsor, which is a local news station here. And so one of their anchors, Sia, will be there. And so people like it just because, like, the kids come up, they're very bubbly, right? The kids are super excited, but they're performing in a much smaller, but they feel very important because they've been picked. So they all performed in November, and then we pick kind of the top individuals from that event to get to come to this event. So they feel like it's like a very special event for
Yeah, yeah,
them, and
yeah.
it is special for them, but it's a
It is.
fundraising event for us.
I love it. Is this a yearly something that you guys do yearly or?
We do this one every other year because in the odd years, we actually do an event, which I think is everybody's favorite event. It's called Inspired Art. So professional local artists create artwork based on poems the kids have written. And so it's a lot of work. When people go, just do that one every year, I'm like, this is a lot. We also ask artists to donate work. And, you don't want to ask the artist community every year to donate a piece of artwork. They're spending time on it, but they're also giving us work that could be sold. And so, it's not our kids doing artwork. These are, professional artists who rely on the income, and they're amazing. They donate it. Even during COVID, when we offered like, hey, we know this might be, COVID was hard on artists. And we said, we'll even pay, like if you would want pay, and not a single artist took that up. So it's at an art studio. People come, you feel, because it's at an art studio, but the kids perform in front of their artworks. You get to see both. So obviously it's everybody's favorite event because it's very different, but we do it in the off years. So that's our every other year. And then this one night, one goal kind of fills the gap when we're not doing inspired art.
So would summer camp be a little similar to what you guys are doing, I guess, throughout the school year, where they're still experiencing the soccer and the literacy and all these different components?
For the most part, they're just doing soccer. So what we do, we partner with community partners. So let's say, trying to think of one of our, like a neighborhood center who's doing school age day, like summer care. So kids are out of school, they're going to this basically a daycare. And then we'll come in and do the soccer components for them. We just find kids in the summer, one, they're more drop-in. It's really hard to get kids to show up consistently unless they're in these like centers. And most of them just want to play, and they're already doing all these other academic components. So we typically just do soccer, but we're actually running, for the first time ever, we've never run our own camps, but we're doing our own 1-week camp in partnership with Black Players for Change. So Black Players for Change is through the Major League Soccer, and they, Justin Morrow, who's a Cleveland native, we've worked through with him, and he's like, I really want to do this and lead up. World Cup is coming. So I don't know if people know that in America, that the World Cup will be here soon. But, it was this like, let's get kids in Cleveland, even though World Cup is not here. Let's get them excited. Let's do soccer. So we picked a week that there's just no programming. When you look across the city, no one's running program the first week of June, but your biggest school district's out of school. That camp will do soccer, and then we weaved literacy in because we're like, well, if we're sponsoring a camp, you got to do some literacy. So we're going to have some local poets. They're both, a couple local poets who are very established here in Cleveland will come out and perform and teach the kids. The kids will get books every single day, which we're very big on summer reading. And then we'll have a couple, some professional athletes will be out there, college, local, semi-pro. So that's our camp. That camp will have some literacy, but summer is pretty low key around here.
Yeah. No, it seems like you guys are going to be, that's just that week in general. That's a lot going on.
Yeah.
So talk about soccer. I do not watch soccer. Of course, I actually didn't even know where the World Cup was going to be. So it's in New York, right?
It is all across. It's in Canada, the United States.
Oh,
No, the final is in New York. So you have that one down. That's the final game.
There's something in New York. Okay.
Yeah,
So
there's
in
48
LA,
teams.
Okay. So see, I don't know. I'm learning. You're teaching me right now.
Yeah.
All I know was, Allison, was that I was invited to a FIFA Creators Fest in Los Angeles with other creators around the football and different brands. That's all I know about it, and I said yes to it for the opportunity of working, whatever. But then also recently, I do a lot of content creation around wrestling. Wrestling's my thing, so kind of in that sports category. We did the body spray Axe in a FIFA collaboration. I did a little commercial with my wife on that, like just kind of social commercial. But I know nothing about football, but these opportunities around FIFA and what they really bring, to just creators like me is cool. So you talking about it, you said FIFA, I'm like, that's all I know, that these opportunities are coming. So I'm pretty sure I'll learn more as I go. But it seems like, are you a soccer advocate? Not just do you work for a soccer organization and love soccer, or what does that look like?
Yes and no. I've been forced to love soccer, right?
I get it.
Well, first of all, I have to shout out FIFA because they are one of our funders. And so they've been a very generous funder. World Cup.
Yeah.
We're not a World Cup city, less around World Cup. They've been a funder of ours pre-World Cup. And
wow.
So I have to shout them out. So have fun because, the World Cup is going to be crazy.
I can
So that's,
imagine. That's why I
and
said
then,
yes. I'm in Orlando, so when they said I will have to
oh,
fly my way out there, right? But they'll give us 2 passes to experience it. I said I can't give up that experience, right? So I fly. I
no.
happen to fly free. I would just have a hotel, whatever that cost me, and some food, and yeah, I'm gonna go enjoy myself.
Well,
So yeah,
maybe I'll
definitely.
have to look. You'll have to tell me which game because we also have score. So because we're a part of a national network or international network, the cities that scores are in, a lot of our kids will be walking players out before the game. So that's a big
Wow.
deal. Like that, that is across every city is going to have these kid mascots. They get to walk the players out for every game. That's a very big soccer thing where they walk. I mean, like I didn't really understand it, but I just went to Morocco and got to see this like really cool youth being walked out. And I was like, oh, I get it now. Right. And I've worked
Wow.
here 7 years, but it was
Yeah,
like,
yeah, yeah, yeah.
it's just a very different soccer thing that you don't see in any other US sport world. Me and soccer, so I played at the age of 5, promptly retired. I was not very good. So but my brother played all through college, like through
Really?
or most of his college career. And
Okay.
so my whole life, because he's my older brother, I was like the little sister that gets like dragged, to every soccer
Yeah.
game. You're like that sibling that's like in the background rolling in the dirt, right? Like, but I grew up around this sport of soccer. My brother played, he had 2 coaches from Argentina. So like they were intense. So that was my world. Like my
Wow.
world was soccer. I left. I never thought I would come to this, right, to be here. But I think when scores came to the schools and I got to see like what it means to bring sport to kids who maybe don't have the opportunity or don't have the space for any other sport. So the school I worked at had no basketball, right? There was no basketball hoops. It was a huge blacktop. And it was like, what sport can kids do to keep them active, to show them how to be a part of a team, all these little components that sport do for kids. And the only thing that really made sense was soccer because it was like all you needed was a ball. Like I've seen our coaches set up chairs for goals. I've seen kids put sticks in the ground when they're doing pickup games. I mean, soccer, this is why it's a world sport. You
Yeah.
don't need anything else. You can just run
Yeah,
out
just a
on a
ball.
field. You need a ball. And so I think that is what kind of tipped me. I care deeply about kids and having other opportunity. Like schools are great. Like we need strong school systems. Like that is not to say the schools aren't important, but I also think what gets kids to school is what you offer them after school. And it also ensures they show up to school. Like attendance is linked directly to when you give kids after school opportunities and also when you expose them early. Because, you wait till 6th or 7th grade for a kid. Soccer is a harder sport the older you get. And if you've never had a single sport in your background, you're less likely to try a sport. So, there was a lot of factors. So I'm really passionate and like I'm forced to like soccer. My development manager, people will go, what team do you follow? I follow no team. Like I'm like the scores kids, my child playing in the community soccer league. Like, I'm excited to follow the US teams. I'm excited for the World Cup. It's a big, these are big players. They're like, some of these players have more followers than any other player in the world, so
Yeah,
they're
no, for
big.
sure. It's pretty kind of cool just how you got kind of back into this world of like you could care less about it, but I guess you actually love it a little bit, like you guys kind of have a love hate here. I think there's a lot of love though. What is your brother thinking about it, knowing that
Yeah.
you're doing this?
I think my brother laughs because I'm like the least coordinated. Like I'm coordinated in my dance and like right, like, but soccer, no, not my thing. But I always tell people because we're more than soccer, it actually makes sense, right? Like we are a youth development first and foremost. So my background in mental health and social work, my background in understanding the community, being able to fundraise, as a nonprofit leader is huge. And I have great staff. Like my soccer manager is amazing. He knows how to work with the kids and he knows the sport of soccer. And so I don't need to know soccer, right? Like I need to know the
Yep.
basics. My staff don't let me ref. I'm an awful referee because I don't catch anything. And they'll be like, that was like Allison, that was in the box. And I'm like, I don't know. So, I know my strengths, right? It's part of being a leader. You know your
Yep.
strengths and you
Yep.
know your
I
gaps.
agree.
And then you just find the right people that do it for you. But no, I mean, like that, I have good staff that like confirm, like that get our soccer component. I have staff that also don't play soccer, but they're heavy on curriculum and writing, like, because we have to have both strong components.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think that's
Yeah.
probably the
That's a
best way to say it.
good mix. I think the last time I spoke to you, my daughter did soccer, but it was just going out there, just playing soccer, a couple of weeks and what is, but to be able that literacy and the books and still being able to say, hey, we care about sports, but we also care about academics, right? It's not picking one over the other. Pretty cool. And you said this is throughout like all states or through our
Yes,
country or?
there's 13 cities. So I could try to list them all. I think I'll miss some, but
Let's
in
see how good. I'm gonna
Florida,
count you out. I'm gonna count you out. Mhm.
all right, you're gonna count me out. Oh my gosh. All right,
Yeah.
let's go.
You said
I'll try.
13, so let's see if you got 13.
Let's start. DC is our original and our founder. All right, so
Okay.
there's DC. Boston is our flag, right? They would say the flagship because it was the second. Now the rest will not be in order. New York, Miami, Cleveland, Milwaukee, Chicago, St. Louis,
Uh-huh.
LA,
Yep.
Seattle,
10. Uh-huh.
Bay Area,
Yep.
Vancouver, Toronto.
There you go. You got all 13.
All right.
There you go. You're
So,
pretty good. See, you were
like,
down yourself. You got 13
whew,
of them.
I was like, I'm
I
gonna
know.
miss
Put you
one
on
of
the
them.
spot.
Yeah,
I
I know.
put you
I
on the
was like,
spot. I was,
my luck. And then one of those executive directors would be like, really? You missed me? Yep, probably. So,
no, we got all 13. No,
yeah.
that's cool. And then you guys have a relationship where you guys still talk to all each other, all directors?
Yeah. So we all have our own nonprofit status. So a little bit different than what some people are used to when you have like a national or a bigger model. But we all meet. So the executive directors meet once every month to 3 to 4 weeks out. Our like fundraisers all meet to talk about, all of us do similar fundraising events. And then the program staff meet to make sure people are holding to the curriculum. So our third, fourth, and fifth grade curriculum in all 13 cities, you should be able to walk into a school and know that they're doing that three approach: service learning, soccer, poetry, with that age group. So like the 8 to 10-year-olds. Everything else is up to us as a city. So Cleveland is a pre-K through 8th grade school model. And our schools, we're doing third, fourth, and fifth. And our schools were like, we also need you in the younger space. So we expanded down first and second. And then we have middle school programming, but it doesn't follow the full year model because middle school here in Cleveland, they don't need us in the fall. But I think that's allowed, right? Like the network, as long as you're holding true to mission and the content and the evidence-based curriculum, then everything else is kind of just the extras of what your community needs. And so that's, not everybody does summer programming, and that's okay because it just depends on capacity and funding. But here in Cleveland, we know, and we have the capacity and we have the network and the community partnerships. So yeah, it's like it's great because you have support. Just earlier today, I was talking to our Milwaukee executive director about something. We all do a Scores Cup event, which is a soccer tournament, local companies. This is our other fundraiser. But, local companies put a team in and then they play soccer for a day. But across the entire network, everybody does a Scores Cup. So,
I love it. I mean, you
yeah.
guys are doing some definitely some amazing things that I've never even heard of. So hopefully those that are watching and listening have definitely gathered some stuff. Where can people find more information as we start to wrap this up, Allison?
Yep.
Like what's the website? You guys on socials, anything like that?
We got lots of socials. So our website is clevelandscores.org. So Cleveland spelled out, scores with the, it's plural.org. We're on Instagram, LinkedIn, Facebook. I would say those three. I think we have a X account, but it's not always as up to date. We always tell people if you want all of our good content, go to Instagram, LinkedIn, Facebook.
Yeah. I don't know if anyone's on X. I don't know. It's like
I don't know.
I don't even
We,
call it X. That you called it X is pretty good, actually. I still
I
call it
was
Twitter.
I was trying. I had to really stop and try to call it the right name. But yeah, I mean, Cleveland Scores, or you can go to the Scores Network and see all the cities if you're really interested, or if somebody sees this and they're like, hey, she listed my city, like, please, go check out, it's the scoresnetwork.org as well. But yeah, we're pretty much posting, and our social media guides to kids, community, funders. So it depends what you're looking for, but you can always find it.
And who knows, just to say, can someone donate on the website?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. We will always take donations. And actually, this is perfect timing because World Giving Football Day is Tuesday, May 26th. So this coming Tuesday. So across the world, people are doing this almost like a Giving Tuesday, but it's all around the sport of soccer. It's spearheaded by Common Goal. So people, this is perfect timing if you're listening, or if it's after May. I don't know when this will air, but World Giving Day for soccer is Tuesday.
You can give any day. Don't think it's just Tuesday. Give
I know,
any
not
day,
just
right,
any
Allison?
day, but we have a really cool opportunity. Columbus Crew is matching it right now. So that's why I was like, oh, I need to plug that.
Oh, yeah.
Columbus Crew is one of our major league teams here in Ohio. We are not in Columbus. We're here in Cleveland. But they are also sponsoring our kids to go to Boston. So we have 6
Love
kids
it.
going to Boston to participate in a similar to a World Cup style event around the World Cup in Boston. And so that's just been a really exciting partnership that we've had. And so, yeah, we're excited and to get these kids to Boston in July. So, yeah, anytime people hear this, they can donate. Go to the website. You can donate. It's right there. But, yeah, some of this right now
There you
is
go.
just the World Cup is coming. So we're trying to be, as excited about it as everybody else.
Well, listen, I really appreciate the time today of you giving us insight about scores, more about scores. I definitely got to learn a lot. Pretty sure those that are watching and listening got to learn a lot. Also, just your leadership, just being able to also take an adult can also take a after school program. How
Exactly.
about that if they want to, right? Or have the school
Exactly.
class, not so much a program. We don't have time for a program, but a class maybe.
Yeah.
Allison, we thank you. For those that are watching, make sure you guys do like, subscribe, and comment. These are the conversations that we have with leaders that are just like you. I mean, we're all human at the end of the day. We are leading organizations. It may be some tough times for others, but remember to stay positive, remembering the why, remembering to just have fun while you're doing it. I'm Efrain. This is Allison. We'll catch you on the next one. Laters.